The noise inside the stadium wasn't just loud, it was different. It wasn't the usual polite applause you expect at a tennis tournament. It wasn't the calm, respectful crowd that normally fills the stands at a WTA event. This was something else entirely. People were standing. Flags were waving. Every point felt like a championship moment. And the most shocking part? This explosion of energy wasn't happening for a world number one. It wasn't happening for a Grand Slam champion. It was happening for a 19-year-old rising star named Alex Eala. And what happened in Dubai might have just changed women's tennis forever. Because suddenly, everywhere Alex Eala goes, something unusual happens. Stadiums fill up, crowds get louder, and tennis starts to feel more like a football final than a regular tour match. But to understand why this moment in Dubai shocked so many people in the tennis world, you have to understand the context. Because going into the Dubai Tennis Championships, expectations were complicated. On paper, the tournament still looked strong. There were top players in the draw, big names ready to compete, and plenty of talent on display. But behind the scenes there were concerns. Two of the biggest stars in women's tennis had withdrawn. Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek weren't there. And when stars like that pull out of a tournament, it can change everything. Ticket demand drops. Atmosphere fades. The buzz disappears, at least that's what usually happens. But this time something completely unexpected filled that gap. Alex Eala. Now let's be clear. Before this tournament, Eala was not ranked inside the top 30 in the world. She wasn't considered a tournament favorite. She wasn't someone analysts were predicting would go deep into the draw. But what she did have was momentum. And perhaps more importantly, she had something tennis rarely sees at this level. A passionate fan base that shows up everywhere. From the very first match she played in Dubai, something felt different. Fans started arriving early. Philippine flags appeared in the crowd, chants echoed across the stadium, and suddenly, matches that normally would have drawn moderate attention became must-watch events. Then came the moment that truly changed everything. Her match against Jasmine Paolini. Now Paolini is no easy opponent. She's one of the toughest competitors on the WTA Tour, and a player who thrives in high-pressure moments. But from the very first game, it was clear this match would not be ordinary. Every point Eala won triggered an eruption from the crowd. Every rally felt bigger than it should have. And slowly, something started happening that tennis players feel immediately when they're on court. Momentum from the stands. Eala fed off that energy. Her movement became sharper. Her confidence grew. Her shots became bolder. And before anyone fully realized what was happening, Jasmine Paolini had been stunned. Alex Eala had taken down one of the most respected players on the tour, and the crowd inside the Dubai stadium absolutely exploded. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting. Because normally when a lower-ranked player pulls off an upset, the excitement lasts for a few hours, maybe a day. Then the tournament moves on. But that's not what happened here. Instead, the excitement kept growing. Every round Eala played attracted bigger crowds. People who hadn't even planned to attend her matches suddenly wanted tickets. And according to tournament officials, those tickets became incredibly difficult to get. Dubai Tennis Championships tournament director Salah Tahlak later revealed something that surprised even longtime insiders of the sport. The stadium sold out for all of Alex Eala's matches. Fans were desperately trying to buy tickets, but there were none left. Think about that for a second. A player ranked outside the top 30 had become the hottest ticket at one of the biggest tournaments of the season. And according to Tahlak, this wasn't just impressive, it was something the tournament had never seen before. He openly praised Eala's influence on the event, explaining that she had attracted an entirely new demographic to tennis, and that might be the most important detail in this entire story. Because the Alex Eala effect isn't just about wins or rankings, it's about people. Specifically, the massive wave of Filipino tennis fans who are suddenly paying attention to the sport in a way they never have before. When Eala plays, the atmosphere changes. Fans bring flags, they chant, they celebrate every point with raw emotion. And for a sport that sometimes struggles with quiet crowds and reserved reactions, this energy is electrifying. Even seasoned tennis reporters admitted that the atmosphere in Dubai felt closer to a Davis Cup tie than a typical WTA match, but of course the tournament didn't end in a fairy tale, because eventually, Eala ran into one of the biggest stars in the sport, Coco Gauff. Now, Gauff has been here before. She's played huge matches. She's won Grand Slam titles. She knows exactly how to handle big crowds and big expectations. And when the two players met in Dubai, experience showed. Gauff delivered a dominant performance, winning the match 6-2 down 6-2. On paper, it looked like a one-sided result. But something fascinating happened even after that defeat. The conversation wasn't just about Coco Gauff's victory, it was still about Alex Eala. Because despite losing the match, she had already left her mark on the tournament. The energy she brought, the fans she inspired, the attention she generated, all of it had turned the Dubai Tennis Championships into something bigger than just another stop on the WTA calendar. And that's exactly why tournament director Salah Tahlak spoke so enthusiastically after the event. He described the week as fantastic. He praised the quality of the matches. But when he talked about Alex Eala, you could hear genuine excitement. He said she was a brilliant addition to the field, and he emphasized something that might define the next chapter of women's tennis. Eala brought a new audience into the sport. That's not a small statement, because tennis has always been searching for the next wave of global stars. Players who can expand the sport's reach, players who can bring in new fans from different regions of the world. And suddenly, people are starting to wonder if Alex Eala might be exactly that kind of player. But the real test is coming next, because now she's heading to one of the biggest stages in tennis, Indian Wells, often called the fifth Grand Slam. The tournament in California is known for its massive crowds, beautiful setting, and electric atmosphere. And last year, it set an incredible attendance record. More than 504,000 fans walked through the gates during the 15-day event. That's an astonishing number for a tennis tournament. But here's the fascinating question everyone is asking now. Could the Alex Eala effect push that number even higher? It might sound unlikely at first. After all, Indian Wells already attracts some of the biggest stars in tennis. But when you look at what happened in Dubai, the possibility suddenly feels real, because Eala's matches have a pattern. Fans show up early, the stadium fills up, and the atmosphere becomes something special. Now, imagine that happening at Indian Wells, one of the largest tennis venues in the world, a place where thousands of fans pack the stands every single day. If Filipino fans turn out in large numbers the way they did in Dubai, the impact could be massive. And that's exactly what tournament organizers will be watching closely. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, there's still one very important step. Her first match. Actually, technically, her second. Because Eala has received a first-round pass into the second round of the tournament. And that means her debut match at Indian Wells will immediately be against a dangerous opponent. Either Dayana Yastremska or Bianca Andreescu. Now both of these players bring serious challenges. Yastremska is known for her aggressive baseline power. When she's playing confidently, she can overwhelm opponents with sheer pace. Andreescu, on the other hand, brings experience and creativity, and she also carries the title of 2019 U.S. Open champion. That alone tells you how dangerous she can be. So whichever opponent Eala faces, the match will not be easy. But here's where the story gets even more intriguing. Because if Alex Eala wins that second-round match, the next round could set up something dramatic. A rematch with Coco Gauff. Yes, the same player who defeated her in Dubai just weeks ago. And in sports, rematches always carry a special kind of tension. Players remember the previous result. They adjust their strategies. They come in with something to prove. For Eala, that potential third-round clash would be a massive opportunity, not just to advance in the tournament, but to show how quickly she's improving. Because that's another reason people are paying attention to her right now, her trajectory. Every tournament seems to bring progress. Every match seems to add new confidence. And even though she's still outside the top 30 in the rankings, many analysts believe that might not last very long. But let's pause for a moment and address something important, because whenever a young player rises this quickly, rumors start circulating. Some fans are already asking big questions. Could Alex Eala become the next global superstar of women's tennis? Could she eventually win Grand Slam titles? Could she reach world number one? Right now, those ideas are speculation. No one can predict the future in sports. But what we can say with confidence is this: the impact she's already having on the fan experience is undeniable. And that might be just as important as results on the scoreboard, because sports thrive on emotion, crowds, energy, moments that make people feel something. And Alex Eala is already creating those moments. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. What happens next? If her run continues at Indian Wells, if the crowds grow even louder, if the Filipino fanbase keeps expanding inside stadiums around the world, then the Alex Eala phenomenon might only be getting started. And suddenly, the WTA Tour could have something incredibly valuable. A rising star who doesn't just win matches, but transforms the atmosphere wherever she plays. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Alex Eala can beat either Dayana Yastremska or Bianca Andreescu in her Indian Wells debut? And if she does, could she challenge Coco Gauff in a rematch? Drop your predictions in the comments, because this story might just be getting started. And if the Dubai Tennis Championships taught us anything, it's this: never underestimate the power of a player who brings an entire nation's passion onto the court. Because sometimes, the biggest impact in sports doesn't come from rankings or trophies. It comes from the connection between a player and the fans. And right now, that connection surrounding Alex Eala might be one of the most powerful forces in tennis. Be watching every moment, because if the energy from Dubai travels to California, Indian Wells could be unforgettable. And if you love stories like this from the world of tennis, make sure you stay with RedDust Report, where we break down the biggest moments, the rising stars, and the stories shaping the future of the sport.